got the new May release from Neat and Tangled to show off to you today, and this is so fun. There's quite a variety this month. We have got stamp sets and stencils and cover plate dies and matching dies, so let me just show you all of the things we've got here. I'm going to show you I'll show you one by one so that you don't get too overwhelmed. Let me show you this beautiful set first. This is a huge stamp set. This is a 6x8 stamp set, and it's called Layered Landscape. And as you can see, there's some really cool possibilities with this. It's got these big, really big solid stamps here to depict, you know, the mountains and the hills. And I sort of interpreted this one as sea, but I know that others have seen that more as a landscape as well. So, you know, it's open to a little bit of interpretation, which just gives you so many possibilities with this. And the whole idea, of course, with this one is that you get to layer the different parts behind each other. Just to give you an example, this was my practice run just to see how some of them would go together. And as I said, this bottom one here I've done as the seaside, and then I've got the two, the big mountain and one of these smaller mountains here. But then there's these other tinier little mountains in here, and there's a sun, and there's the birds, and of course there's the sentiments. I made this card with it, and as you can see, that's why this was my practice run, just to see if these bits would work together. And then I've used one of the sentiments up here. You are never too old to set another goal or to dream a new dream, which I think is just, you know, I think that even that can be interpreted as perhaps really lovely, really fun. Or I did have a cheeky idea of maybe sending this to like my mum for her birthday. And putting, you know, a big 60 or whatever age down the bottom, so it could be used for something like that as well. But I think another way you could use this stamp set would be, because it's really quite serene, that you could use it perhaps as like a bereavement card as well. And there's such things in there as like be brave or you are so brave. And then some inspirational quotes in there as well, like tomorrow is always fresh with no mistakes. The best view comes after the hardest climb, or tomorrow I will try again, or be brave enough to dream. So really beautiful. So this is called Layered Landscape, and I just think that's a really nice stamp set with lots of possibilities. Next we go on to, there's these two stamp sets which are a little bit similar in their theme and really work well together, but of course you can buy them separately as well. There's the 4x6 one called Paint Night, and there's the 4x3 called Complementary Colors. And so they've both got this sort of artistic theme to it, and both of them come with matching dies as well. This smaller one has dies that just cut out the two larger figures, and the other one has matching dies that cut out nearly every little piece of this apart from the sentiment. So it even includes the dies for the little paint splashes and the little heart here. So let's stamp some of these so I can show you how these might work. And of course I've made some cards with this as well. So I'll pull out the first one, Paint Night, and just, you know, I like giving you guys an idea of how these sort of look like in real life and the things you can do with it. So first of all, there's this artist girl. She's got her paintbrush, so she is very cute. And there's an easel here which can go next to her. Like, I feel like she's kind of saying, ta-da, look what I've done. So there's an easel. And in this stamp set, there is two options of the things you can put in the easel, or three options if you like. There's a little landscape that she might be painting here, and that fits perfectly in there. There are also, let me stamp this easel again so I can show you. There's also some versions where you can do portraits. So there's a little girl portrait, and there's a little boy portrait, and there's a sentiment, or there's sentiments that go with it. So I think this one of course works with the portrait, so it says you're the prettiest portrait. And there's also this other sentiment which says, "You add color to my world," which I think of course works well more with the landscape painting. But if that wasn't enough, there's also this other girl who's holding like this picture up to show you. So again, you could put any of those picture options in there, the landscape or the portraits, but there's also this other little sentiment which also fits in here, which says, "Have a colourful day." Oh, I dropped it. So that is quite cool. And then there's some extra bits and bobs here. So like there's this paint swoosh, which I think would make a really great, I have ideas about doing this in different colors and making a background colorful rainbow pattern like this, or just you can use it maybe for her to stand on as a base, or you know, different options there. There are also these little paint splashes which can kind of come off her brush as though she's waving it. And as I said, there's also all of the matching dies for all of these little bits and pieces. So that is really cool. And this one, being the larger one, is called Paint Nite. And as I said, there's matching dies. The other one, the smaller version, which of course just makes it a little bit more affordable if you know you're on a budget. So this one's called Complementary Colors, and similar painty themes. And you know, I think we're all artistic, so I think we will all appreciate a stamp set like this in our stash. So this one has got this cute boy and girl holding these paint tubes. So there's the boy, and there's a girl as well. And the boy and the girl have their matching dies so that you can cut them out. And they kind of work well facing each other like that. And because their sentiment says, you're my complementary color. So isn't that cool? And then the other little stamps in here have got all of your primary and secondary colors, so that you can maybe label your paint tubes in whatever color you would like to paint them, or maybe you want to do something else funky in the background again with these. So, you know, just throwing ideas out there. So as I said, there's yellow, green, orange, purple, blue, and red labels here. So let me quickly show you some of the cards that I've made with those two stamp sets. Firstly, I used this bigger one, the 4x6, the Paint Nite, to make this one. I just used that girl, and because the sentiment said, "You add color to my world," yeah, I had this idea, of course, of just doing her sort of in black and white, and then her in a really bright, super saturated rainbow kind of color. So there's an idea for that stamp set. And then I used the other smaller one to make this card. So here in the example, I stamped them sort of with their paint tubes facing each other, and here I've got them facing the other way, so it clearly works sort of both ways. And then I've used the "You're my complementary color" sentiment on here as well. Now, here's a little tip for any of my Aussie friends that are watching, or any of my British friends, or anybody basically that wants to spell color with a U in it. On the Complementary Colors stamp set, it was so easy just to not stamp the color down the bottom, and then I filled it in with the alphabet stickers to put the U in it. With the other stamp set, there's two versions that say color in here: "Have a colorful day" and "You add color to my world." If you wanted to get a little bit creative, you could add a U in here, but it becomes a little bit more difficult with this stamp set. But obviously, at the end of the day, it just depends about how picky you might be about spelling color with a U, but this one was really easy to do it with. So just a little extra hint for my fellow Aussies. Don't let the lack of a U stop you from buying a stamp set. You can totally make it work. if you just saw in this one that I just showed you as well, in the background here, I have used this month's cover plate die. So let me just show you that one. I'm not sure what it's called at the moment, but I'll be sure to add that title in down the bottom of my video here, so you can probably see it now. So you can see it cuts out this lovely sort of triangle prism kind of effect, and the stencil is the same pattern as well. So while we're on the topic of those, let me show you what that looks like by using the stencil to just quickly show you the pattern on this. Not being very particular here, but just swooshing on some color to show you the pattern. So please forgive my rushed and non-perfect look here. But isn't that kind of cool? So super versatile background stencil and cover plate die for you this month. And then lastly, there is one more stamp set. It is our summer stamp set called Hello Summer. This is the third one in the series, so we've now done all of the seasons apart from autumn or fall, depending on what you'd like to call it. And this one's the summer version. So once again, we have that sort of giant sentiment, which is all like one block and which makes a really easy, quick card to do. I love this about this series, is that it's just making it really easy to put a card together, because you can really get away with just almost like stamping this sentiment and then hardly having to add anything else to your card. But of course there are other options on this stamp set. You of course have the sentiment which says Hello Summer, so you can put the big summer then at the top of this. Summer and a hello, and there are some little pictures here, so you can put the little sun next to that, so you can see that's you could very easily get away with a card that looks just like that without having to sort of add anything else. There's some birds here as well. And there's also some waves. And then there's a couple of other versions of sentiments here as well. So you can do summer, let's make some memories, or summer, sunshine and good times, or summer is a state of mind. And you could use that as your sentiment on a card as well, like I have done here. So I have used the waves and done a little border all of the way across, just repeatedly stamping it there. There's the little sun that you get and the birds, and then I've used summer is a state of mind. So these are the matching dies that come with this stamp set. You get two dies here. There's the one that cuts out summer, and then there's the shadow effect for this as well. So this is again similar with all of the dies that come in this series. The word summer matches precisely with this, so you can stamp this and then you can cut it out if you would like to do that. Here's again one of the practice ones that I did when I was making that card. I'm just searching for something to pop this on so you can see that. So that is stamped and then cut out with the summer bit, but you could also use the shadow die, which is what I've then done on this card. So I stamped it with ink from the stamp and then cut it out with the shadow to cut that sort of outline like that. And of course the two can also match together, so if you've cut out the shadow and the outline, they will match up precisely. So you can do different colors of cardstock instead of the stamp. So you can definitely even just buy the die without having to buy the stamp set, and vice versa. So lots of options here. This month I think it's a really fun release. Again, I really adore those painty types of images in those two stamp sets, and then this is just going to be a classic, the layered landscape. and that cover plate die as well. Oh, hard to pick a favorite. Let me know what your favorite is, and let me know what you happen to pick up, because I can't wait to see what everybody does with this release this month. It is so cool. Anyway, that's enough from me. I will see you again next month. Have a fun and creative month of May. See you later.